Hello, I'm Jim Roberts, host of Senior Living in Alexandria, and here we are. We are once again trying to provide a good show for seniors, family, caregivers, service providers, and try to provide useful information. We've got a topic we haven't touched on before, and I think it's very central, and I'm eager to learn more about it. We have, this is the Prevention of Blindness Society of Metropolitan Washington. We're fortunate today that Caren Forsten, their executive director, is with us, and we're joined by Sandy Neuzil. Sandy is very interesting. She wears two hats. One is she has been a recipient of services of the Prevention of Blindness services, and she'll speak to that. But also she's a facilitator for their program and their support group in Virginia. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So let Caren, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got engaged and what the Prevention of Blindness Society does, if you would, please.
Sure thing. I came to the Prevention of Blindness Society last year, and I joined it after a career in private industry. Mm-hmm. But what appealed to me is the breadth of what the organization does. It's been active since 1936 in our area. It's a local charity focused on the preservation of vision and the optimization of vision throughout lifetime. So we screen children for amblyopia and strabismus, knowing that early detection and intervention can save a sight for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. We screen adults for glaucoma. We have 3 programs for individuals impacted by low vision. We have support groups, and one of those is with the Beatley Library in Alexandria on Duke Street. Mm-hmm. And then we also have a low vision newsletter, large print, that talks about the things that are available in our area. And our website is also a wealth of information. Okay. And then the third thing that we have that's in Alexandria is we have our Low Vision Learning Center is housed in a Prevention of Blindness Society facility. Okay. And that helps, there's a low vision specialist optometrist who works out of there, Dr. Suleiman Alibi, and he helps people make the most of the sight that they have remaining. Okay. So it's really exciting, and I'm excited because I have low vision in my family with macular degeneration, age-related macular degeneration, and glaucoma. And I watched, my family members their world got a little smaller, and what Prevention of Blindness aims to do is to keep everybody's world as large as possible. Okay. And then I have a daughter-in-law who was impacted with strabismus untreated as a child, and so she does have legal blindness as an adult. Hasn't stopped her. She still moves at the speed of light, but how exciting is it that we get to work with children to try and help them.
You have both personal, sounds like, and professional credentials, attachments to the prevention of blindness.
Absolutely.
Let me turn to Sandy. And Sandy, tell us your story, because it's a remarkable story. How you, both about your situation, but how that evolved into working with the Prevention of Blindness Society.
Well, I did start working indirectly for the Prevention of Blindness Society 3 years ago when I started volunteering for Dr. Alibi and his low vision services and low vision learning center. And I came to that because I'd had a lifetime of being legally blind. I'd had a very rewarding career as a geologist for 32 years, and when I retired, a little bit on the young side, after a couple years I realized I needed something to do that was rewarding to me. And it took a while to realize that in my hip pocket was a lifetime of experience being legally blind, because I was born legally blind, and had had a lifetime of experience figuring out how to make things work for me. And I thought maybe I could share that with other people in a volunteer setting where I was working with people who were new to low vision, new to challenges in their lives, in their daily living, how to make it work better for them, and give them some suggestions. And along the way, I have learned a lot about the resources in the DC area.
Mm-hmm. So you're a facilitator of support groups? What does that entail?
So the second hat that I took on with the prevention of blindness was actually becoming a facilitator for low vision support groups in Northern Virginia near the DC area. I am currently trying to help facilitate a low vision support group at Vincent Hall Retirement Community and one at the Virginian. But there's an opportunity if there are other retirement communities or other senior centers or like the Beatley Library that Caren mentioned that would like to have low vision support groups. There's the possibility that prevention of blindness might be able to help facilitate that and get that off the ground.
What goes on in a support? Are these sessions or is it one-on-one?
A support group, a low vision support group tends to be anywhere from 4 to 24 people meeting in a room, whether it's a library or a community center, and it's sharing ideas of what isn't working, what could work, and we try to get people, subject experts to come in and talk about, for instance, the Talking Books program, the National Library Services Talking Books program, or if people want to learn about the Metropolitan Washington Ear, where you can listen to the Washington Post being read 24/7 on a radio, or if you want help with technology, how to use your iPhone better with low vision. And some of the best iPhone users I know are people who are totally blind and do it just with voice and gesture, which is way beyond me. But it doesn't stop people. If just because you have low vision, you can't see as much as a person with 20/20 vision doesn't mean you can't do what you want to do. And low vision support groups help facilitate that.
So it sounds like you run an extensive, I think the society itself as well as what you do is run really kind of flexible, responsive programs. Wherever there's a group, maybe I've got something useful to say to you. Is that?
That's true. Both the members of the support group, the people who attend, will suggest ideas of speakers, and then we scurry around and find somebody who can help, explain how something works, how a program works, or for instance, the Department of Blind and Vision Impaired in Virginia can provide assistance and training for daily living.
But you would coordinate that and know about those programs and to make those resources available.
And we advertise these support groups on the Prevention of Blindness website. The youreyes.org events tab is where you could find some of these support groups.
And is there any charge for these services or programs?
No.
Okay.
No. It's just come and attend. The Prevention of Blindness does put some money behind it to make them happen, but attendance is free.
Okay, and is there a schedule for those that's regularly, or is it
Some of the support groups do meet monthly. Some meet quarterly. We're trying to get that more organized on the youreyes.org events page so that people can see that in advance and plan for attending support groups if they want to.
All right. We've got to go to a break right now, so save that. We'll come back in a few minutes. We're going to cut away to our usual, actually a cooking episode, which is always fun. But Caren, when we come back, I would like to hear from you in terms of the extent of the problems that the Prevention Society entails and what in particular relates to seniors. So we'll come back to that and hear from both of you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, we'll be right back with the interview, but once again, I'm tickled to have Madison Reeder, our fabulous nutritionist and cook, who's going to have another recipe for us today. And let's see. It's February, it's midwinter, it's cold, it's raw, it's probably freezing out, and Valentine's Day is coming. So when I think of Valentine's Day, I think of roses, and then I think of chocolate. And I see that maybe, just maybe, we're going to have a chocolate treat today. What do you have?
Yes,
What
so
do you have?
it is. It's the month of Valentine's Day, another holiday that I really love and I love to be festive for.
Okay.
This is a holiday that I think scares a lot of people for different reasons, but one of them is that they think they've made it through the holidays. They made it through Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. They've hit their New Year's resolution, and then this holiday comes around to sabotage it. So they say, how can I still eat healthy, and how can I have a nice treat with my loved ones without ruining my diet? And this one I'm really, really pleased with. This is a great recipe. So today we're going to be making a chocolate mousse with a twist. We're going to be using tofu for our chocolate mousse.
Healthy fats.
Yes.
All
yes,
right.
and some great protein in there too. So
Okay.
usually a chocolate mousse will be made with some kind of a cream based and a fat to make it really, really thick. Sometimes some milk or some dairy, just depending
Usually a
on,
dollop of whipped cream on the top to add
of course,
calories.
sprinkles, the whole nine. But we're going to go a different route today. And I know I've talked about it before, but the importance of protein, especially when you're trying to eat healthier, protein is a really great thing to add to your diet. So tofu is a wonderful source of protein that is a plant-based protein. So most of the proteins we know and love that are more common are our animal proteins: chicken, beef, our eggs,
Okay.
fish.
Processed soybeans, I believe.
Yes, and tofu
Okay.
is processed soybeans. So really what tofu is, it's soybeans that have been soaked for over 24 hours. Then they're pressed and the liquid is removed. That's how you make soy milk.
Okay.
Then that pressed product is pressed even further to make tofu. So depending on how much it's pressed, depends on how firm the tofu is. So this one is a firm. They make extra firm, extra firm. They make a soft, all different kinds. So I just went with our firm tofu for today. Now tofu only has 70 calories per serving and has about 8 grams of protein. So if you do more than one serving of tofu, which most people tend to because it makes a more complete meal, you get just about as much protein as you would in an animal product, but half the calories. It's a great way to cut your calories back.
And a lot less fat. And
A lot.
Is there any fiber in tofu?
There is some fiber and there are a little bit of carbs, so that can help to keep you full as well.
Okay.
And I like that you pointed out the fat too, because it has only unsaturated fats, where
that's good.
animal products have saturated. So it's
Okay.
a nice way to mix it up. So what we're going to do with this, it's really, really simple. I'm going to just tear open our packaging. Now, for the sake of this, I've already drained this, but your tofu, it will usually come in a kind of a liquid, a water. So you
Okay.
want to make sure that you drain that really well first, because you don't want that extra fluid to take away from our chocolatey flavor here, right?
Would that, you mentioned soy milk. If you drain that off and drank it, would that be the equivalent of soy milk or just an experiment in bad taste?
Yes,
Okay.
the latter, yes.
I
So
see,
what happens
okay.
is all that soy milk product is already drained and removed from
okay,
it. So
okay.
whatever liquid is kind of left in here is keeping it from going dry.
Gotcha.
And that's important. So it doesn't have that same flavor as soy milk. But that's a great question. That's one I get
Okay.
asked quite a bit. So we're going to add that to, see a little bit of that liquid came out. We're going to add that to a blender here. You could add it to a food processor, anything of your choosing. And I'm just going to kind of mash it down. You can see how easy it is. It's very soft to kind of push down there. So a lot of people are really afraid to work with tofu because they're just not quite sure what to do with it. Some people know that you can saute it, you can bake it. This is just another way of using it. And it's a great thing for seniors too, because you can buy it and it stays shelf stable for much longer than an animal product will. So it's a great thing to have in your home, kind of as a backup or as something to add into your regular routine.
I know it's a mainstay of a lot of vegetarian diets.
Yes.
But it's okay for those of us who might not be vegetarian.
That's correct.
It's good for us.
So then,
Oh,
of course,
what's that?
the next thing we're going to add, because this isn't all 100% healthy, you're just making the healthy choices where you can, which is important. We're going to add about 1/2 cup of melted chocolate. You can use dark chocolate, which does have more health benefits, but for today, I'm treating you with some milk chocolate.
And that's just regular over-the-counter milk chocolate?
Yep, so I bought the milk chocolate morsels.
Oh, okay.
And-
That'd be easy to melt.
Yep, and then melted them in the microwave. Now, when you're melting chocolate in the microwave, you can do it over a double boiler on the stove, but I find that that's a little bit more complicated, especially
Yeah,
for our
yeah.
seniors. A great thing to do is melt it in the microwave, but make sure you do it at 30-second intervals. Otherwise, it will burn.
I burned chocolate in the microwave.
Yes, and that is not a fun thing to clean up or deal with.
No, and it scorches actually.
Yes, it does.
But that looks pleasant.
thank you.
I could, if I
And
had
then this step is optional, but we're gonna go with it for today. If you want it a little bit sweeter, because this tofu doesn't have much of a flavor, if you want it to have a little bit more sweetness, you can add some extra maple syrup or sugar. I like the blue agave nectar. This one is actually from Aldi. The price is very, very, very good. What's nice about agave nectar is your body registers it as a little bit sweeter than sugar. It just has a little bit more oomph to it.
Is that a natural product refined
is.
from agave and processed?
Yes,
So,
exactly.
okay.
So it's a natural sweetener, and you can use a little bit less and still get the sugar sweetness payoff as a sugar. So that's
Okay.
kind of nice.
It's hard to
Just
say, sugar
sweetness.
You did well.
Payoff.
Okay.
Yes. So add just about a tablespoon.
Tablespoon of
And
that?
again, this is optional. You don't have to do this,
Okay.
but again, you're making a really good trade-off with using the tofu. So
Okay.
I think it's perfectly fine to have a little bit of sugar.
All right.
So what you're gonna do, you're gonna blend this until it's smooth. You can use a food processor, you can use a blender, you can use an immersion blender. Whatever you like to use is just fine, but you wanna make sure it gets really smooth and creamy. That's really important.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna actually pulse it here so you can kind of see it break apart. You can see towards the bottom, it's starting to get kind of mixed and creamy. So
Oh,
we'll have
yeah.
to push it down as it goes because
Okay,
the
to
tofu
blend
is
it.
cold and the chocolate is warm. So we'll have to kind of hand mix it a little bit.
Maybe give it a,
Down and mix it a little.
spoon a little bit.
Yes. And this is a really great recipe, again, because of the protein that's in our tofu here. So our bodies need protein to help elongate our energy.
Okay.
I'll push it down just a little bit
All
more,
right.
maybe with a longer spoon. But our body needs that protein to help our carbohydrates and fats do the most for us. And as we all know, protein is good for our muscle. So it's a great thing to add to our desserts because our desserts usually get all the carbs and the fat, but miss out on our protein sources.
Well, and you know it's chocolate.
Yes.
I mean, all that is excellent, but it's basically chocolate.
Right, which makes
And you
it
can't go wrong.
Which makes it even better.
All right.
I'm going to pulse it a little bit more, and then I'll show you what the finished product looks like,
Okay.
and we can try that. Now you see how the bottom here is getting all nice and blended and getting
Yeah,
nice and
yeah.
smooth and creamy. So if we played with this for a little bit longer, you can put that down.
Okay.
It ends up becoming this nice,
Oh, look at that.
smooth, creamy chocolate mousse that we have
That was-
here. Just 3 ingredients, and this one is, like I said, is even optional. Just, again, 1 block of tofu.
And
half
how many
cup-
minutes does it take to make this treat?
Less than 10.
Less than 10.
Very quick.
Chocolate in less than 10.
So what you want to do is after it's all blended, my recommendation is you can eat it right away when it's done. But my recommendation is to put it in the refrigerator, let it set. It kind of solidifies and makes more of like a mousse or a pudding consistency.
Would you then serve that after a meal or for a treat, or and will it keep in the refrigerator for a
Yep.
while?
You want to keep it in the refrigerator. You can keep it in there for about a week, which is really great because a
Not
lot
in
of
my
times,
refrigerator. It'd be gone
It
in
won't
2
last
days.
that
yeah,
long,
but
right?
Yours, all right.
But you can keep it in there for about a week. And my favorite way to serve this, especially for Valentine's Day, to kind of make it look really pretty and beautiful, you can add some fresh fruit to it, some strawberries,
Oh,
some
yeah,
raspberries,
yeah,
some
yeah.
blueberries. It's really, really
Oh,
lovely.
That's romantic.
So lots of different ways that you can have
Okay.
this. But my favorite is as a treat. So I'm going to let you grab a
gonna-
spoon there. You can grab this one.
All right, let me get a good healthy
Give it a try.
sample here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad that you like this. I know this is an out-of-the-box kind of a recipe, but I think, again, so many people are afraid to try tofu, and this is a great option.
Well, and
Add
as
chocolate
we
in your-
started out, Valentine's Day,
Yep.
it's this month, and you can't go wrong with chocolate.
Absolutely, I agree.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
This
you.
this recipe will be on the website at Senior Services of Alexandria, and you can. It's easy to make. You can make it at home and give it to your sweetie. Thank you. Well, we're back. I'm here with Caren Forsten of the Prevention of Blindness Society of Metropolitan Washington, and Sandy Neuzil, who's a facilitator for support groups in Virginia and a beneficiary of many of the programs of the Prevention of Blind, and now a strong proponent. So we were talking last time, but I wanted to ask the two of you, what are some of the issues or problems that come up in terms of low vision? What sorts of things, and then in particular, as you're aging, how do those begin to take shape?
Well, in our area, there are two things that we want to make sure that people are aware of. And the first is that there's age-related macular degeneration, and the second is glaucoma. And both of those can occur gradually over time, so that you may not know that they're coming about, but they can silently impact your sight. So it's really important for people to see an eye care professional annually for a dilated eye exam. What kind of other thoughts can you think of, Sandy?
So the age-related macular degeneration, just those words scare a lot of people.
Yes.
But it isn't really as scary as it sounds, because it is gradual, but rarely leads to total blindness. It may diminish your sight so that you're low vision, but there are many ways to compensate for that. And the Low Vision Learning Center in Alexandria, Virginia, once your vision is assessed and the doctors and eye care professional can determine what vision you still have, that can be put to work to your best advantage to continue to do things you want to do. Now, you may have to do them in a different way than you used to do them, but there are, optical magnifiers, digital magnifiers if you need to make things bigger to see it better. There's glasses with color filters if you're having trouble with contrast, if pink and gray look all the same and you can't see the edges of sidewalks. There's ways to enhance contrast. Or if your vision has deteriorated to the point that reading is difficult, maybe audio options, listening to things would be a good way to go. Now with glaucoma, which is also scary and silent, it's much more treatable than age-related macular degeneration. Well, with treatment, glaucoma can be managed pretty well. Mm-hmm. So that is important to see an eye care professional to know if you have tendencies towards glaucoma so that you can manage that.
And,
I'm sorry.
Oh, and we're going to be screening for glaucoma at the Alexandria Senior Services Health and Fitness Fair on May 23rd.
And where will that be?
That will be at the Chinkapin Rec Center.
Okay, we'll make note of that. That's a wonderful thing. How do you get the word out about those? Of course, through senior services and the usual bulletin boards, but that'd be very useful to a number of people that could participate.
Yeah, and it'll be on our website and in our monthly newsletter that people can sign up for at youreyes.org.
Okay, all right. So you described a number of mechanical, technological fixes.
Right.
How do you deal with the emotional side of aging, low vision, loss of capability? What kind of help, is there any help?
Well, the rehabilitation program that the Low Vision Services, Dr. Alibi and his partner, Dr. Weinberg, run through, they can address the logistics of assessing what you can't see, asking you what you want to do, and trying to help you find workarounds to do it. But it does take a lot of personal motivation. It really does take recognizing that you are losing vision, accepting that you have lost some vision, but being motivated to move on. And then with their help, you can come up with a rehabilitation program designed for your eyesight and your goals. Mm-hmm. But it takes work. It takes effort. It takes persistence. It It may not be easy. There may be some days that you just want to throw in the towel, but if you want to do it, trust me, I have lived a whole life of low vision, and you can do almost anything you want to do.
How about I'm sorry.
My parents never told me, you can't do that because you can't see well, and that was really a good approach for me growing up.
How about help for caregivers or loved ones? How it's not, of course, it's your situation, but there are other people whose lives need to accommodate to that, to be supportive, to help you. How do you do that?
Family and friends do need to understand what you can and can't see, and it can be difficult to explain that, but they're always welcome at eye appointments at the low vision services. They are always welcome at support groups to help understand what might help a person who's low vision.
I think
a challenge.
many of us take for granted. I mean, we have the normal loss of clarity of vision that comes with aging, and you hopefully accept that. It's just part of accepting aging, which is hard, but you know that's the hands you're dealt. But I think the ones that beyond that, the permanent impairment or the progressive impairments, get hard to handle emotionally, physically, from family, friends, etc. In society. Are we becoming more accustomed in our public spaces to dealing with people with low vision? Is there improvement there?
A little bit. I think we've made huge strides with the people who have disabilities affecting their mobility. But I think we still have a ways to go for the people who can't see well. I face it every day. I'll walk into a restaurant and the menu is up on a board 10 feet away, and I cannot see it and I cannot read it. So I have to ask for help. So part of the deal is that I have to speak up for myself and say, I can't see your menu. Could you tell me, fill in the blank, do you have X, Y, or Z? Airports and train stations, the signage sometimes is a little better, but maybe I have to be ingenious with either a monocular to make it larger to see it, or use my phone camera and then zoom in on the when's the next flight, or speak up and ask for help. I think we all tend to be a little bit introverted and we don't want to admit I can't do something. So we do have to learn as a low vision community that we have to speak up for ourselves.
We're running out of time, unfortunately, but I think you've mentioned a couple. I think the exam is important because you can track progress or lack of progress, and then finding help. And there's a number of programs that are there to help, but you just need to learn how to use them. So I think and prevention, if you can somehow be knowledgeable and prevent it, is maybe one of the better things that can come out of it. So thank you for coming in and sharing that information with us, and they will post where your contacts are so they can find you and get help if they need it. So
Terrific.
thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. We
pleasure.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.